You're live.
Good night. Could you tell me if I am centered in your screen or if I am off canter? Ladies and gentlemen, good night. I am Arthur Saldiva, aspiring candidate for Belmopan and original Belmopanese. Tonight is the second in the series of town hall events online as we seek to bridge the gap between technology and politics in Belize. I believe that the internet is the most democratic invention man has ever created. It has given all of us access and ability to participate no matter where we are, from the comforts of our homes, our cars, our offices. As long as you have an interest to know, you have the ability to access the information. So once again, I say good night in the spirit of the father of our nation, George Price. Allow me to cite a small portion of the Belizean prayer. Almighty and eternal God, who through Jesus Christ have revealed your glory to all nations, please protect and preserve Belize, our beloved country. I do believe that now more than ever, we need to keep those words in mind and keep that prayer near and dear. Please protect and preserve Belize, our beloved country. I'm here at the center of Belize, the center of the universe, Belmopan, the city that George Price built, and the city that I grew up in and have loved all my life. So once again, I welcome you. I look forward to fielding your questions. I look forward to communicating and dialoguing with you. Feel free to engage me, as this is why I'm here. Your humble servant. Once
Okay,
again.
a number of people are saying hello to you. We have Christopher, and we have a number of people watching tonight. As we move forward, since the last meeting, everybody is saying, well, why is Arthur continuing this move after he was asked by the party to go on probation for the next 2 years and to help the people who were given the go-ahead by the party? Why is Arthur Saldiva going ahead?
Arthur Saldiva, I am going ahead because I firmly believe that Belmopan needs viable, strong leadership. What has occurred in terms of the statements made by our party leader, as unfortunate as they may be, is a matter now for the courts to decide. I will not really speak on that issue because, as I said, it's now sub judice, something for the court to decide, and in that regard, I am here to assure the Belmopan public that I will do whatever is necessary to be available to you, to represent you, because I do understand that presently and for the past 13 years, you have been without effective representation. We have had in Belmopan, in the personage of John Saldiva, a representative who has failed in every ministry he has touched or that has been awarded to him. the greatest scandal in the history of Belize in relation to immigration has occurred under his watch. Don't be distracted by the fact that Elvin Penner was the ultimate person to pay the price, a price that I must say was not the kind of price he should have paid, but they all were guilty. John, Elvin Penner, Godwin Holtz, they all presided over the bastardization and prostitution of the Belizean patrimony and citizenship.
We have a question from Michelle Trapp, who is asking, why not run as an independent candidate? History can always be made. Why not be the first?
Well, I'm not shy, and I am not averse to making history. In fact, I believe that we're all capable of this. Independent, I have always been an independent person within the People's United Party. In fact, I believe it stands as testament what's taking place. I will always maintain my independent streak. It's what I have been brought up to be. This is the kind of person and persons that Belmopan creates. So if it is that I must go that route, I am not averse to it. But as I said, I am here to ensure that all PUPs in Belmopan understand and appreciate that I am giving our great party the respect it deserves, even if those who are the custodians and trustees of the party cannot appreciate what the spirit of the Constitution they were elected to uphold offers. So yes, Ms. Trapp, I do take your question and suggestion seriously, but we will cross that bridge when and if we get there.
We understand, Arthur, that you are you're in the process of going to court. Could you explain to our viewers what this is all about?
The country of Belize and the People's United Party is governed by a constitution. The national constitution we have is the supreme law of the land. Any law that is not in conformity with it is void. Likewise, the supreme law in the People's United Party is the constitution of the party. And it is my right under that constitution as a member to run in any election, in any constituency. I am a member without fetters. I have not been suspended as has been claimed. All I have asked of those who make this claim is to produce the document that details that suspension that they are relying on. The only document that has been produced thus far had been acquired by my very able, competent, and efficient campaign team, the Committee to Elect Arthur Saldiva in Belmopan. They have been the ones who have gone out and secured the resolution, the only resolution pertaining to myself as a candidate. And at that time, it was my candidacy in Belize Rural North. The resolution that they were able to acquire and which they had sent to the Central Party Council only establishes that I was removed. That was the remedy that the party sought. Removal from the executive, removal from the constituency that I was elected to represent the Belize Rural North in 2014. That's the end. of that sanction against me for public allegations. And in the last town hall, the first town hall, I did explain the whole situation with the Melanikoe fiasco. I say it's a fiasco. I was a fool. I didn't secure myself by having a signed contract with Miss Coe, and as a result of that, I was burnt. It's water on the bridge for me. I'm not going to lament that. I live to learn. It's a hard lesson to learn, but I have learned. And I do apologize to the Belizean public for all that mess and embarrassment that it caused not only me, but those who believed in me. But I will tell you, I am human, and to err is human. But in that regard, I did not do anything illegal.
Miss Rosie Stain states, Arthur, that you are an outright thief. I'm not sure what she means by it. How would you answer her to that comment?
Well, Miss Stain, I'm so sorry that you feel that way. Again, this may be from a bit of misinformation, but understand me. Here I sit in front of you, giving you the opportunity to question me. And I will answer your questions, but understand what theft means. And understand also that theft is a crime. I have never committed theft. I have never committed a crime. I'm here sitting before you, and I will tell you this. I am someone's son. I'm someone's brother. I'm someone's uncle. I'm someone's nephew. I could be your son. I could be your brother. I could be your nephew. I could be your grandson. I am a son of Belmopan. That's what I am.
Arthur, we know that come the 1st of July, there is supposed to be a convention in Belmopan. And as far as the Committee to Elect Arthur Saldivar is concerned, you may be robbed of that opportunity. How do you plan to engage the voters in Belmopan and to see a candidacy in Belmopan?
Well, I have started to engage the voters now for the past 2 months. I have no intention of quitting. I continue to visit. I have a full team on the ground, going house to house, carrying the message of change and hope, economic development for Belmopan. This will continue. It matters not what a few trustees are saying presently. What will matter, however, is what the courts of Belize have to say on the issue. But even if the courts of Belize does not provide me the redress for which I seek, I will continue. For as long as I have the support of the people of Belmopan, I will continue. This is not about seeking to represent a party. My candidacy is about representing the people of Belmopan and ultimately the people of Belize at a time when the country needs strong leadership, leadership with independence, leadership with intellect, leadership that seeks to inspire. I believe I can offer these things, and I know that I can make a difference.
Okay, you know you can make a difference. Could you enlighten us with some of the things you'd like to do to make that difference? How do you see yourself working to make Belmopan a more self-governing place? What do you offer to the people of Belmopan?
What we need is an economic engine. The ability to generate finances 24/7 in Belmopan. One of the ways of doing it, and one of the quickest ways of getting it done, is by providing the connection we need between Orange Walk and Roaring Creek to allow for us to have a toll regime governing a roadway that shortens the distance between the north and the west. This will have to be done in conjunction with Cayo South. However, let me also establish to you that there is a great need for the expansion of Belmopan beyond the Belize River so that we can address effectively a proper commercial and industrial center. We need also to ensure that there is a proper convention center built in Belmopan to more effectively engage the diplomatic community in Belmopan, to have Belmopan residents be able to capitalize on our status as an international city. There are a number of things that we can do that I know can be achieved with a person who understands what Belmopan is, where it can go, and how we can get there. The main problem we have presently is that the area representative, John Saldiva, is persona non grata in all these embassies. The US Embassy has sanctioned him and taken away his visa. The Mexican Embassy has put the greatest symbol of disgrace against him. Now, I will tell you, as a Belizean of African descent, I am proud to have the Olmec head at the roundabout by the hospital. But understand that that Olmec head at that roundabout does not only represent the Mexican culture, it's a very direct message from the Mexican embassy to our area rep that they know that his friend, Mr. Mason, was involved in the most heinous act in the history of Belize. We can only ask him, what is his involvement with that? Because we all know that Llewellyn Lucas was his friend as he was mine.
Ms. Lightfoot writes, Arthur, I am interested in the Constitution and Guatemalans looking to be registered in the re-registration process, even though the PM said that that was unconstitutional. It may be more coy about the outrightly stating it's unconstitutional, but what align with Mr. Barrow in his sympathies for Guatemala without addressing the remedies for this disregard for the Constitution of Belize?
It's a very important question, and I want to answer this question very comprehensively because I believe it is necessary. We cannot, as a country, put Belizean people in the diaspora to the back of the bus, as we would say figuratively, when we are advancing a situation where persons from a country that claim us and don't respect our sovereignty or territorial integrity are being given carte blanche access to register and vote in our elections. One of the most important votes in the history of Belize is coming up in the ICJ referendum. One of the most important events in our democracy is coming up in the next few days in terms of the re-registration exercise. No, I will tell you this. I am calling on all attorneys at law in Belize who consider Belize to be their home and who love this country to join the cause to challenge the practice of allowing Guatemalan citizens who cannot renounce their nationality to register in our elections, but first and foremost to be given citizenship, because the citizenship is the pathway to their registration as voters in our elections. So, I do understand and appreciate that there are many in Belize and in the diaspora that are seeking to have this matter be taken to court. And there is urgent need for it to be done because for decades this practice has been going on. And it has been going on contrary to our constitutional provisions. And it's been going on to the detriment of the Belizean people, because not only does the Guatemalan is not able to renounce their citizenship, but the monies that are being generated in Belize by Guatemalans by and large are going right back to Guatemala. The last statistic in relation to remittances reveal that the Belizeans in the diaspora have been contributing consistently $80 million a year to our GDP or more. But the converse is also true, that Guatemalans have been repatriating more than $100 million a year out of Belize. But we still have these people as Belizeans, quote unquote, citizens, and we are giving them the right to vote when it is shown by virtue of the remittances that their allegiances lies outside of Belize. And on the converse, the allegiance of the diaspora lies in Belize because money from the US and other places where Belizeans live abroad are coming home. It is time for us to have an open door policy as it relates to the Belizean diaspora. We are a country that's developing, not a developed country as yet. If Israel could do it and become developed as a result of it, why can't we apply the same formula to allow for our Belizeans that live abroad to have a more active and viable role in the development of Belize? It is one thing to accept the barrel from your aunt, your uncle, or your cousin in the States, and it's quite another to tell that same aunt or uncle in the States that although you're sending that barrel, we don't want you to participate. That's hypocrisy, and we are not a hypocritical people.
Olive Hamilton asked, but why is a two-party system, but it is a two-party system. How can you run for a party that don't want you in it? Can you run independently? Would you go that route? Good luck with your endeavors.
Thank you, Oliver. It is a two-party system. And I will say this. The party has not made any pronouncements about me because the persons that have spoken cannot really speak for the party. They are only its trustees. Again, I meet with the party on a daily basis. They are here. They are hard-working people. They work in the markets. They work in the beauty salons. They are here cleaning drains. They are here working the fields. They also work as doctors. They also work as lawyers. And I will tell you, the overwhelming number of PUP supporters and members of the party that I have met have told me, continue the fight. Do not give up. We need you. So how can I, after the people have expressed their confidence and willingness to support me, turn my back? I will not do that. You see, I will tell you, I grew up at 2325 Garza Avenue, the son of public servants, Paul Saldiva and Miriam Saldiva. Those are my parents. My father didn't spare the rod to spoil the child. You see, I was prepared for a life of service, understanding that many times there will be resistance. So I persevere, because it's a part of my upbringing to so do. If I was so easily dismayed, I would not have been a Fulbright scholar. If I was so easily dismayed, I would not be the attorney I am today. I am here to serve Belize. And I'm here more specifically to serve Belmopan.
Buddy Brown believes that there should be an airport in Belmopan. And your cousin, Ethel Gladden, says, hello, cuz. So you have to shout out some of these people who are making sure, Miss Botes, everybody giving you the thumbs up. Arthur, your road ahead is not an easy one. In light of your court actions, what do you think, or how are you going about getting this court action done? Could you explain to some people, because some people are saying, why take the party to the court? Clarify to them what it is you are doing.
Okay, we're not taking the party to court. They are trustees of the party who bear certain responsibility by virtue of the utterances that have been made. I don't want to delve into that because, again, I have lawyers dealing with that, and it would not be right of me to interfere with a process that they are in control of. So I've asked forgiveness in relation to this particular matter because I do want to ensure that the professionals I have hired are given every opportunity to do the job that I have given them to do.
Emina Zabani states, Arta, you have supporters battling for you in the national executive.
Thank you.
Moses Solf, in 2008, while being a part of COLA, I did a research on the research of what % of Guatemala received naturalization, and it was up to 40%, the highest block of naturalized Belizean. Right. We then spoke to a number of lawyers to take the matter to court. None of them wanted to assist. How do you fight that case?
We have to fight the case. The case is one that I believe is a natural to fight and a natural to win because the Constitution is clear. It's one of the few times that the Constitution is very specific. The Constitution makes specific reference as it relates to persons who cannot become citizens by saying that any person from a country that does not recognize the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Belize cannot be qualified for citizenship. What has happened, however, is that the subsidiary legislation has been abused, that being the Immigration and Nationality Act, because that act, as with many of the subsidiary legislation, has within it ministerial discretion. And we know that many times the ministers do things for political expedience as opposed to maintaining and ensuring that their actions are tempered by national responsibility. So in order to gain a vote for an election, they grant citizenship to people who don't qualify for citizenship. But not only that, what really irks me is that our official language is English. And we have people who are swearing in, getting Belizean citizenship without being required to speak English. How can this be real? I mean, come on. If you don't know what you're saying, how can you be pledging allegiance? The Pledge of Allegiance, you're saying that I am willing to put my life down for this country, as I am willing to do. Put my life down for this country. Those people don't know that they're saying that. So none of those documents that they're carrying is valid because they never meant the oath that they took. And the oath is an essential part of you becoming a citizen. You cannot become a citizen of the United States without taking the oath of allegiance. And trust me, whether you're a Chinese American, Korean American, German American, Irish American, or Belizean American, you have to take the oath in English.
Miss Victoria Clark says to you, fight for what is left of our Joel Arta. I'm proud to be on your team. Mr. Jones gives you the blessings, while Raul Castillo says, a man who won't stand up for what he believes in is not much of a man. Keep fighting, brother. Moses Self writes again, since that time I have been saying we should stop issuing residency and nationality to all Guatemalans until they rescind their claim. Then Mr. Alonso writes, Will Alonso says, what is your reason for running for government? He said most politician leaves office wealthier than ever.
My reason for running for government is because I have a plan. For those of you who don't know me and didn't know of what I brought forward before, I'm an economist. I came up with a plan called the Gladden Plan, which was a plan to connect Mexico, and Guatemala via the coastline of Belize. It is, as far as I know, the only economic plan for Belize that is out there. Now, I'm not here on this forum to speak about this plan. This forum is for Belmopan, because I also have a plan for Belmopan. But for those of you who want to know about the Gladden plan, you can research it on YouTube. Type in GLADDEN, the Gladden plan, and you will find out about the plan. It is about shifting the production possibility frontier of Belize to the right, so that we can have enough employment for our people to drain the swamp of unemployment. It is to ensure that we become an entrepot for the distribution of goods across the Americas. You see, a lot of people don't realize that in 1859, when Guatemala and England were in their negotiations for the recognition of our borders, as they would have it, Guatemala was seeking to have a road being built from the Pacific coast to the Atlantic coast. In 1859, the Panama Canal did not exist. The Isthmus of Panama was solid land. That construction of that canal didn't start until after the breakdown occurred between England and Guatemala over this treaty of 1859. It was not until 1914 that the French started that project, and then the Americans completed it in Panama. So imagine, if in 1859 the British honored Article 7 of the 1859 treaty, Belize and Guatemala would be in the position of Panama, being the entrepots connecting the two oceans and allowing for goods and services to pass freely overland through a dry canal. But the British, in their wisdom, decided to renege on that aspect of the treaty. And they blame little Guatemala, who was only, 36 years of age at the time. Similar age to Belize, similar age to what we are now. Now there's a role reversal, because see, England now has gone and has left us with its baggage to carry. And I don't know which wise man or men have decided that it should be our baggage to carry. But I do believe that the opportunity still exists for us to negotiate with Guatemala on economic terms. I don't believe that a political solution is the right one, or I don't believe that a litigated solution is the right one. But again, I will leave that for another time.
Arcela Bonner says, keep up the fight, my friend. With you all the way. God bless.
Thank you.
Then Miss Amira Smith asks, is there a Spanish translation? I think it in regard to when they're swearing in citizens from Guatemala.
No, there's no Spanish translation as far as I know. In fact, the English being the official language, it would be unconstitutional for you to administer the oath in any other language.
Emilia Zabani writes, always POP. I like that, my brother. Just like me, no matter what. I'm a POP because the party is built on a system that calls for social justice for all. Personalities come and go, but our constitution doesn't change. In times, this too shall pass. Miguel Tech says, you got the lyrics, bro? Got it strong. Mr. John asks if Mr. Saldiva was a dear, he said Mr. Saldiva was a dear childhood friend who I respect in his days of attending Sacred Heart College in San Ignacio. It's great to listen to the wisdom of someone who I can relate to. For once, a different point of view other than the usual. Keep your head up.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for those very nice comments. Arthur, on another note, we're looking at Belmopan, and Belmopan has been the capital of our country, and since 81 we have seen growth, yes, in its citizens. The way we have the urban sprawl of Belmopan has rapidly grown. However, the plan has been abandoned.
Right.
How do you believe you can address trying to fix this plan?
Well, as I said, one of the main developments that have taken place over the past 10 years or so in Belmopan is that the embassies that were located in Release City have now relocated to Belmopan. What that has done for us, it has placed at our disposal quite a large cache of resources that can assist in our development, independent of central government. You see, the capital of any country is the leading community of that country. And your capital is a center for inspiration for the rest of the nation. So, whereas now we have these embassies that are all here from developed countries, we can take the opportunity to engage them more meaningfully in the development of Belmopan. Belmopan should not be a place where a 70-year-old woman have to walk 3 miles to get water. Belmopan shouldn't be a place where children who leave school at 5 o'clock get home at night 6:37 in utter darkness. Belmopan should not be the place where streets are not distinguishable from jungle. But this is the reality in Belmopan today, 13 years after John Saldiva has been elected area rep. In many of our communities, we are living a rural existence. Under Arthur Saldiva, or with an Arthur Saldiva representation in Belmopan, that's not going to be the case. I call for all hands on deck, and now I'm getting to where we need to be tonight. All hands on deck. It's a direct call to you, my friends from Belmopan. It's a call to you to protect and safeguard our democracy. If you are concerned about corruption in public life, if you are concerned about the usurpation and the undermining of our democracy, I'm calling on you to put your hands on the deck. Re-registration is our opportunity to safeguard our democracy. We know that the padded voters list is the basis upon which unscrupulous politicians have been able to hijack our democracy. John Saldiva has been one of the most efficient hijackers in Belizean political history. For the past 3 elections, John has systematically moved persons from Roaring Creek, Kamalote, Tea Kettle, Black Manedy, Unitedville, Ontario, all these villages from the Kaya South, and brought them to vote in Belmopan, effectively disenfranchising the vote of born, original Belmopanese. John Saldiva has betrayed us and will betray us again if we do not do what is necessary to safeguard our democracy in Belmopan. So I'm calling on you, Belmopan. I'm calling on you to come out on the 1st of July, but before then, to take every interest in documenting on your street, in your neighborhood, on your block, the derelict homes and buildings, those that are being rented, and those that you know belong to families who have gone. Because this and these are the structures and premises that John will seek to utilize to pad the voters list. We will be spending $8 million worth of taxpayers' money. It's a pittance, really. But that's what they say they can give to the cause of cleaning the list. But that $8 million worth of taxpayers' money will all be for naught if we do not provide the vigilance needed to ensure that those people from the villages don't come back and be placed on the voters list in Belmopan. It is key that you safeguard your vote, because it's the only way you can assure yourselves of the services you require. Better schools, better streets, better health care. There was a time when the Belmopan Hospital, now the Western Regional Hospital, was the state-of-the-art hospital in the country. It was only because of its size that we were not able to have the trauma centers and the trauma care that existed in Belize City. But in terms of its service, Belmopan was at the forefront of healthcare. Now, we have been relegated all the way to the back of the pack. That is not the status of healthcare for a capital city. We have in Belmopan the headquarters for Social Security. And simply by that one distinction, we should have the best hospital in Belmopan, in Belize. The best hospital in Belize should be here in Belmopan. We are the capital. It is our right, and we deserve it.
Mr. Castillo writes, Wainwright said, the highest form of ignorance is when you reject something you don't know anything about. Is that what our party is doing?
I believe, my friend, that is very much self-explanatory. I always believed in what the Honorable George Cale Price told me many, many years ago as a boy of 7. He said, Arthur, stay in school. You'll be one of those that develop Belize. A lot of people don't understand why I continue to stand up and I continue to fight in the face of the resistance that I've been met with. But understand that as a boy of 7, playing in the drain in Belmopan and having the chance to meet the most powerful man in Belize, I was not shunned, I was not dismissed, I was not treated rudely, but I was embraced. I was encouraged, and I was inspired. Not many appreciate those things. Some of those who speak against me in the party were those that tried to take Mr. Price to court. But I will not get into that. Mr. Price is gone, but his spirit lives on. And I just want to have a chance to prove that once again, we can do better for Belize.
Will Alonso states, corruption is a cancer that eats away at the development of a nation. What mechanism would you implement to stop the culture of corruption that has plagued Belize for so long?
Plurality and oversight. You see, in what I'm proposing, Mr. Alonso it is?
Alonso. Will Alonso.
What I'm proposing, Will, is a development plan that puts many important interests in Belize to provide independent oversight of what's taking place. For too long, the country has been run like a plantation, only for the rich and the powerful. And opportunities have been kept away from the people by and large. If you are not connected, you do not get opportunity. This is the reason why I'm saying there is a need for us to open our economy, make the connection extend the Riviera Maya. It runs from Cancun and it stops in Chetumal. But the Riviera Maya should run all the way down to Punta Gorda, along the coastline of Belize. It would allow for greater development, it would allow for easier access, and would allow for persons right now who have no opportunity to have opportunity to access means to earn a living. And it will give us effective occupation of the Hondo to the Saskatoon. This is the reason why, the main reason why we're having problems with Guatemala and the Saskatoon is because we don't have occupation of the Saskatoon. The reason why we are having problems with Guatemala and the Chiquibul is because we don't have occupation of the Chiquibul. When? Because it's not a matter of if. When I'm elected, I will be pushing whoever is there in the Parliament of Belize to open to Belizean citizens access to our borderline regions so that we can have it for our development. Again, look at what Israel has done. Israel has ensured that its borders are respected by ensuring that there are settlements along the border. We should be doing the same thing. But because of laziness and the propensity for those elected to resort to corrupt means, they have not employed tax dollars to give access to those remote areas where our people can have opportunity in the timber industry, in the pharmaceutical industry, in so many industries that can be explored and expanded in the areas along the border that the Guatemalans are now taking advantage of. We heard of the Chate. Belizeans were once harvesting Chate, but then they were regulated and taken out of the industry. But has that stopped the Guatemalans from coming in and raping the Chate crop in Belize? No. The Guatemalans come in daily. Prime, pristine forest like the Columbia Forest Reserve. Huge mahogany, taken out. Huge sericote, taken out. Rosewood, taken out. We get no revenue from Guatemalan pillaging. But yet and still, we do not give Belizeans the access. The government of Belize, and I say the government of Belize, because I'm here now talking about the administration of the UDP and the PUP opposition that I am a part of, have not been pushing enough to ensure that Belizeans have the opportunity to earn from the resources of Belize. We have been keeping our people poor, and we don't have to be.
Miss Rita Maybana wants you to call names and put them out there. Rosemarine asks, Sir, or states, Sir, I appreciate all you're saying, but to be honest, if you're not representing either blue or red, people won't vote for you. This is the mindset of voters today. There is much more maturity for the voters to have. How do you combat that?
Easily, Miss Rose. And let me tell you, I have been a PUP. I am a PUP. I will continue to be a PUP. PUP.
Paul Wade says, the people of Belmopan was not given the opportunity to choose who they want to be their standard bearer. What's your view in that issue?
As long as we continue to resist, as long as we continue to stay on the ground, meet with our people, have them understand and be assured that we will not leave the field and leave them alone. As long as we continue to fight the good fight, Paul, we will have the right candidate in Belmopan.
Herman Blees Senior writes, in the end, you could win. But you won't be able to go to court to secure a cabinet seat. How then Will you get anything done? What meaningful end do you seek?
Well, as I said, Belmopan is an international city, Mr. Blease. It's the only constituency that can exist and thrive without the need for central government support. Every embassy in Belmopan has within its budget funds available for the host city that it's in. John Saldivar cannot access those funds. I would be able to. But let me give you a scenario, one that would help you to understand. You see, an elected, Atta Saldivar elected in Belmopan represents all people of Belmopan. But I am a PUP and will always be a PUP. So let's say the PUP forms government. Don't you think they will come to me? Don't you think they will dialogue with me? Don't you think they will have some place for me then? But be that as it may, the intention is to be on the PUP ticket. And I believe that I have a fighting chance to have that happen. So don't be dismayed.
Ms. Shanchar Z says, LOL, I like that. Arthur, what do you believe is the most difficult thing that you've seen on your campaign where people, or what is the one most important issue that you feel like you need to address as soon as you are in that position for the people of Belmopan?
Unemployment.
Unemployment
is the single most important issue to address in Belmopan, because we have seen what the ravages of unemployment has done in Belize City. The crime, the poverty that's associated with unemployment. If it takes a greater root in Belmopan than it has already had, we are going to have serious problems. We already have the rise in the foreign gangs in the periphery, whether we are talking about Mara Salvatrucha, 13, or the 18 Street Gang. These are gangs that are much more violent than the run-of-the-mill Crips and Bloods, PIVs, and George Street gangs in Belize City. In fact, most of the guns in the city comes right here out of Belmopan, transported from the Arenal border into Belmopan and then up through to Belize City. And the sad thing about it, our area rep knows very well what's going on, and he's doing nothing about it. Nothing. In fact, some of his associates have been implicated in some of these actions. You see, when we are dealing with John Saldivar, we're not dealing with a person who is operating operating within the parameters of law. We're dealing with a person who has no scruples and really and truly has been operating above the law. In fact, he thinks that he is the law. That's a very dangerous thing. We have seen where his drunkenness with power has caused us great embarrassment. But it has also caused us to lose a lot of what characterized us as a society. The peaceable living that we enjoyed in Belmopan has been imperiled under John Saldivar's tenure. But he doesn't care. It's not his concern, but it is all of ours.
We are faced, Arthur, with a situation starting about last week. We have many high schools in the high schools in Belmopan putting out graduates, and there are a lot of them. Half of these people will not be able to go to sixth form. You have the students of standard 6 who very shortly will receive their PSC results, and again a number of them will not be able to attend high school. how do you intend to address the need for educational opportunities? While everything is not academic, what plan would you have in place to help these students in one, getting a trade, and two, helping themselves after high school? Because if they can't go to sixth form, what type of jobs do you think, or what do you think will happen to them?
Well, this is the thing. One of the components of the master plan for Belmopan was the industrial park facility. Mr. Price envisioned that from way back in the 70s, that there would have had to have been another major facility for the absorption of the human capital that would exist in the capital, apart from the public service. We have to revisit that. We have heard of the EPZ that Santander enjoys along that Banana Bank Road or Valley of Peace Road. Well, why not earmark 500 acres in Belmopan for an EPZ? Why not use that EPZ status to invite the Mennonite community, who have enjoyed a long tax holiday and have been industrializing Spanish Lookout, to move some of their operations from Spanish Lookout to Belmopan and to do what it was envisioned they were going to do, which was to introduce the Belizean people to their technology and way of doing things so that we can become a more productive and efficient society ourselves. We need to engage properly with what we have. Again, the most prosperous district in the country, the district that provides most to the GDP, is the Cayo district. And Belmopan is the capital of the Cayo district. So we need to draw from the most prosperous community in Cayo to help us to become prosperous as well. So we want to engage those at Spanish Lookout who are good for more than 750 million. These are the people with prosperity in our country and in our district. So by putting in 500 acres, putting in an EPZ status there, we can draft from what they are doing in Spanish Lookout to provide employment, alternative employment in Belmopan for persons from Belmopan. You're seeing Westrack, you're seeing Universal, you're seeing Caribbean Tire, you're seeing all these places pop up. We want them in a way that will allow for our students in Belmopan, those who would have to work a little bit before continuing studies, for them to understand that yes, there is hope, there is opportunity, and you don't have to go to a minister to get it. We need to take that power out of the hand of the minister, because what they have done is abuse it. They use it to exploit and take advantage, and they are not helping our young people. They are using their power and their privilege to take advantage, especially of our young female students. That has to stop.
Okay. Area Lightfoot asks, with everyone ignoring the law and constitution, how does one hold GOB and those who ought to follow the law and constitution accountable without the help of the legal community?
There's only one answer to that, area. And if I do say so, I'll be accused of being irresponsible. But let me tell you, Muta Baruka said it: by the ballot or the bullet, by the Bible or the gun, any which way, freedom must come. We are finding that it's been so easy for those in power to neglect and ignore the Constitution. Part of it has been the docility of our people. But I believe that through this medium and others like it, and hopefully I can inspire others to do this as well, that it will raise awareness and it will raise a spirit of activism that will allow for people to rise up and demand better of our leaders. You know what is the worst thing? When George Price in 1948 started the People's Committee to push back against the British and their intended action to devalue the Belizean dollar, the Belizean population could not be surprised that the British would try to do that. We expect that from those people. And I use the word those. And you understand what I mean when I use the word those. But in 1981, when we became independent, and our own people have been given conduct of our affairs, one would have expected that our people would be different, that we would be doing things to uplift Belize and not to undermine and diminish and destroy it. But for the most part, as soon as Mr. Price was not able to maintain control, and as soon as those who were flying the Union Jack got the chance, they did worse than the British ever could. And that is the worst thing. We are being destroyed by our own. That hurts.
When we are calling for accountability, Arthur, we find that, especially right now, you're hearing from the business community. They have called for a review of what is happening with the re-registration as it relates to Guatemalan citizens.
Yeah.
How can this be addressed? How do we handle those people who have lived in Belize for so many years, have had previous citizenship of Belize or nationality of Belize?
No one derives interest or rights from a fraud. Okay? The Guatemalan given citizenship in Belize has been given it fraudulently, unconstitutionally. As a result of that, it cannot be recognized as real citizenship. So whether it be 30, 40, 50 years they have it, which it cannot be because we have not been independent that long, it's not valid. It's just a piece of paper. And it needs to be revoked, taken away.
Is that legal?
If what is what legal?
Just taking out their citizenship away, their nationality papers away.
Yes, it's unconstitutional. You listen. The Constitution of Belize would have to be changed by a 3/4 majority, which is not possible anymore because there's a provision that prohibits members of parliament from crossing the floor. So getting consensus on both sides to have a 3/4 majority in the kind of split that we have in the government right now is impossible. So there is no basis upon which the unconstitutional act of granting citizenship to Guatemalans can be ratified. It was unconstitutional when it was granted, and it's unconstitutional now. It has not been made legal, as Mr. Barrow tried to do with the 9th Amendment and his quote-unquote appropriation of detail. We can get into that one if you guys want to as well. I can explain some of that to you.
Okay. Again, when we look at our re-registration, how do you see that? Do you believe that that process will be a fair and free process?
Only if the Belizean people are vigilant. You see, I am not one that have any confidence in an OAS mission. I think that's a waste of time. You see, the OAS don't know Miss Birdie from Collect Division, from where the taxi man again? Bullet. Bullet Craig from Cinderella Plaza. Who for the OS knows these people? Who for the OS know Miss Jenny for market? Or Mr. Tony for San Ignacio? They don't know these people. You know them. Only you can safeguard the sanctity of the voters list. No OAS. All hands on deck. Everybody who has an interest in the Belizean democracy need to make themselves available at least for an hour or two at the Election and Boundaries Office in their constituency to look and see who is being brought in to register and to raise the alarm when you see somebody you know is not from your area being brought in to register, because that is corruption. That's what's keeping these corrupt politicians in power. That is what is keeping good people out of politics, because at the end of the day, they feel it's an uphill battle that cannot be won. You see, I'll tell you something. I was given 3 books as a child. One was Up From Slavery by Booker T. Washington. My dad gave me that book. My grandfather gave me Great Expectations, believing that it was what he would have wanted to tell me, because he had such great expectations for me. And my godmother, Sister Louise, gave me a book, a very little book, a very important one. It was a small Bible, little pocket Bible. And the Bible is a story of struggle, story of sacrifice, and a story of perseverance. It captures in all of its essence the one true religion, obedience. Those who are obedient are the ones who excel. I have been obedient. And that's why I'm here. I am obeying the call of the people of Belmopan, and I will continue to obey the call of the people of Belmopan. Our people require representation. I'm here to give it.
The voting population of Belmopan is highly dependent on the youth. The youth vote constitute a large percent of that. What do you hope to bring to the table for the youths of Belmopan?
Well, again, as a youth of 7, I was inspired by the time taken by a man who had the entire who had the responsibility for the running of the entire country. I don't know if I will ever have that responsibility. I only seek the responsibility to represent you in Belmopan. But I believe that I can inspire the youth. I can inspire the youth because I believe in the youth. You see, for too long, we have had a system in Belize where seniority without more has trumped the capacity of the youth to be given opportunity. There has to be a balance, yes. Understand that I treasure and respect those who have come before and given service. But we must also remember that experience can only be had with opportunity. So what I am here to offer the youth is a plethora of opportunity, more opportunity than have existed before, for them to be able to be viable contributors in our country's development, in our constituency's development. Because at the end of the day, we will not improve if we do not allow for our youth to have access to the opportunity to become that which they want to become and to gain from it as much as they can. So that's why I'm here. I believe I can do this.
Mr. Buddy Brown states, will anyone going with anyone going or should go to jail for his or her wrongdoing with the illegal registration and citizenship of Guatemalans?
Yes, I believe they should. And I believe that once the matter is brought to court and the court sanctions it officially, any action thereafter would be punishable by imprisonment. You see, I'll tell you something. It is sad that we do not have people in position that have the backbone and the spine to stand up for what they know is right. We have for too long in the public service been having people who are going along to get along, even if it means compromising what they know to be the law. It had happened. We saw it happen with the immigration scandal and the various immigration scandals that we have had in the history of our country. And again, we are back again at the Ministry of Immigration with this situation. They never learn, but the people of Belize have to teach them.
In his address at the convention of Julius Espat, PUP party leader stated to those seated there that when the PUP takes office, the citizens should not come wanting any members of this present government to go to court or to jail. Do you believe that that should be something that at this time that the party leader should be looking at?
Well, I can only look at myself and give you an example. I have not even committed a crime, but they have put me in political jail. So I cannot see myself being a loyal PUP, knowing that for the past 10 years, this UDP administration has taken over $700 million worth of Venezuelan money and squandered it. And you want to know why these scoundrels need to go to jail? Last week, Venezuela had its membership to the OAS challenged by the United States. What did Belize do? Instead of voting against it, these cowards abstained. After spending $700 million worth of Venezuelan money, they abstained. So they will take the Venezuelan money, don't use it for what they're supposed to use it, which was to have uplifted and ensure that we have better streets, better schools, better hospitals in Belize. They did everything they could do to siphon the money and use it for their own personal gain. And instead of voting for Venezuela, they abstained. Scoundrels. Jail is too good for them. They need to go somewhere worse.
Ms. Smith writes, you mentioned that 3/4 majority in order to change the constitution. In the same ratio, is it the same ratio to enact or repeal existing legislation? And if so, how would you go about gaining the required support from your own party as well as across the aisle?
Matters like these would have to go to referendum. It has to be for the people of Belize to decide. Anything that is of national importance that would determine the quality of citizenship has to be brought to the people. Once it's brought to the people and the people vote on it, then it's not a question of partisanship anymore. You see. But no, not every legislation needs a 3/4 majority. Not every constitutional provision needs a 3/4 majority. There are some constitutional provisions that require 2/3 or less. And there are the entrenched provisions that require 3/4 majority to be able to change them.
Okay, Mr. Castillo asks, what is the position of the leader of the opposition regarding persecution of politicians who are proven to be corrupt in office?
Mr. Castillo, I will leave that question for the leader of the opposition to answer.
We have seen that the okay, before I go on, Ms. Smith writes, they put you in a political jail because you are not a drug dealer. You don't need a pardon for stealing millions of people's money, and most importantly, you don't keep your mouth shut and stay in the place they believe you should be. Paul Wade writes, a candidate for Belmopan was rejected according to party for leaving the country for 7 months. But one running in Belize Rural Central went away for years. Is that a credible issue for the leadership?
Well, listen, I have known many politicians to leave Belize. In fact, Philip Golson left Belize for quite a long time. He was a member of parliament and left Belize to go and study law. And Mr. Price ensured that he was paid. He was never suspended by his party. Now, I will tell you this. The UDP has been doing this kind of political engineering for quite some time themselves. We can remember that Kenny Morgan was taken out of, I believe it was Pickstock. He was removed as a candidate. And we can also remember Derek Aikman was removed from Freetown. So both parties have been practicing this undemocratic, have been carrying out this undemocratic practice. It is sad that this is what is taking place, but again, as I said, I don't want to delve into that too much tonight because this issue with me particularly is going to be before the court shortly.
Okay. Mr. Saldiva, when you look at the development of Belmopan and some of the plans that you are hoping to enact, many times people will say to you or to the public and voters at large, these are my plans. However, when they get into office, many times these things are not seen. How long should the people of Belmopan wait? Should you become a member or a representative of Belmopan? Should they wait to see some of these promises that you make? What is your timeline to show the people that you really mean business? Do you have a timeline in mind?
Well, first and foremost, I'm putting forward a plan, not a manifesto, a plan. I don't believe in cut and pasting. I believe in consulting, in consulting, organizing, putting together a concrete proposal that the people can buy into. Or people will sacrifice once they know what they are sacrificing for. These things I don't put on a timeline because it is something that I have started by virtue of what I'm doing now. It's just a continuation. So from day one, this is what we're going to be doing. Working towards the realization of these goals to put in place the necessary components for a vibrant economy in Belmopan. The local economy has been outstripped by the size of the population and the numbers of unemployed. So there's a lot of work to be done. As I said, one of the things that has to happen is that we have to make that connection to the north to allow for easier access to Orange Walk and Corozal from Belmopan and vice versa. That will increase economic activity along those lines. And then look at the EPZ status for 500 acres of an industrial park facility. These are some of the things. But I will put these things down in a very concise and easily digested form so that people can understand where it is that I believe we need to go.
Land is a big issue. Many people believe that as Belizeans, they should be given land. However, more and more we hear that in Belmopan, there is no more land. Do you believe that you can help the people, especially those young people who would like to start their families? How do you see yourself getting land, or where will these land come from?
Listen, it's not rocket science. We have people that own large tracts of land. Some of it are being utilized, some are not. If we have to acquire land for further development, we shall do that. I had been a part of a housing development before. It's called Maxborough. It's in Sand Hill. It's one of the most successful, if not the most successful, housing project of the People's United Party between 1998 and 2008. I was its project manager. I was responsible for every house that was built at Maxborough. I will tell you this. One of the major components to a successful housing project has to be the existence of job in the area where you're building houses. This has been a failing in Belize. We have not done that. And this is one of the reasons why we have had these projects fail. So in Belmopan, what we need to do in looking to expand to allow for more houses and more residential complexes to be developed, we must first look at where we are going to be placing the jobs within those areas, so that when the houses do go up and people go to live there, the overall spirit and plan for Belmopan is maintained, that families can stay together. What made Belmopan great for me as a child, and for all of us that grew up in Belmopan in the early 70s, 80s, and 90s, was that our parents were able to come home at 12 o'clock to have dinner with us and be around that table with us. We had that bond as a family. And when we came home at 2:30 or at 3:30 after school, we knew that, yeah, we might have a little hour to play. But we didn't go far, because we know at 5, it wouldn't be long before our parents got home. You see, that was the kind of community that George Price envisioned. And that's the kind of community we need to go back to. We cannot have our mothers and our fathers working 20, 30, 40 miles away from home. It doesn't lend for good family life. It doesn't lend for discipline in the home. And without discipline in the home, we won't have discipline in the community. If we don't have discipline in the community, we won't have discipline in the society, and we will not be productive. Belmopan has been the home, the bastion of family values in Belize. We need to preserve it, and we need to promote it more.
Ms. Lightfoot is asking if you believe that there's a racial component to the candidates rejected by the PUPs.
If there's a racial component?
Yes, a subtle racial component.
I don't think it's subtle. I think that there was, I think Dr. Tega was the man who said it, said that one day we, the Creole in Belize, will be like seasoning in soup. It's sad that the party of inclusion, the party of Price, is being tagged with this now. But again, these things are self-explanatory. It's plain to be seen.
We have covered a number of issues. However, we find ourselves in a system where many young people are facing situations where they have to choose between helping families or going to school. A lot of families are not able, even here in Belmopan, and for some reason people outside of Belmopan feel like there is no poverty. Belmopan is cool because of what the area that they come around, you see, nice streets and everything else. But a lot of people are not able, to continue to go to school because they are facing financial difficulties. How do you intend to try to help some of these young people who are smart, want to go to school, but the family demands that they contribute financially for the growth of that family or the economic development of that family?
Well, here's the thing. We have had in Belmopan an education culture, a culture built around the merits of good education. I remember we used to have in school, competitions for times tables, spelling, and everything else. It's one of the areas where no matter where you come from, no matter your background, you can feel a sense of self-worth when you excel in education. I have known in my time many young people from challenging and challenged backgrounds. I remember, just to name a few, Hippolyta Hernandez, Victor Castillo, some others back in the day, who were bright and are bright, but had to do extra when they got home, work in the fields, milpa and what have you. What I am hoping to have established in Belmopan is a partnership between the City Council, the area representative, and the diplomatic community. If we can have a more meaningful partnership with those entities, we can allow for those children whose families are facing challenging times to be given the kind of assistance needed to stay in school and get the education they require to break the chains of poverty. There was a time my father used to write on the mirror in my bathroom, "Education is the key that opens any door." Education is the means to escaping poverty. So for those youth in those situations, I am here to be your bridge, to get you across from that depressing, ever-present, spiny, steely hand of poverty, to cross you over with education to opportunity.
Another big factor to help in the economic development of a country, and we have seen it here in Belize, is that of tourism. How would you sell Belmopan to a tourist?
Easily. As I explained, Belmopan is the capital. We will need to develop it a bit more to have it become a greater attraction for the tourist. Simple things that we can do. We can make what they call the Avenida de las Americas, a long avenue, maybe a 3-kilometer avenue, that we will put large statues of our founding fathers, Mr. Golson, Mr. Soberanis, Mr. Price, and on, and monuments to showcase what the country has to offer in replica form along that 3-kilometer stretch. That is a way that your tourists will come and they will have a tour of Belize in short form in the capital. Would be something like a promenade. Huh? Then we expand beyond the Belize River to allow for the river to flow through the city and for us to be able to capitalize on the river sides. We have Rivera. Rivera is a beautiful place. It was one of the first places in Belmopan that my father took me when we came to live here as a child. And it was beautiful then and it's beautiful now. All it needs is some attention. And if we give it the attention it requires, tourists will also come.
Ms. Smith writes, the young children in Belmopan and the rest of the country have unfortunately experienced serious trauma, such as being the victims of crime and living in fear in their homes and their own neighborhoods. This type of exposure will lead to developmental delays in our young people. How do you plan to help families and the community curtail these challenges?
Well, let me say this. We don't have the capacity of foresight to determine when trauma will strike a particular home, a particular family. What we can do, however, is put in place mechanism for people to cope more effectively with the trauma that they do experience. Centers for therapy and the availability of therapists and counselors to assist, especially young people who have experienced this kind of trauma, to allow for them to be restored as best they can and given back the confidence that they have lost is key. So as I said, I heard somebody say something that I thought was ridiculous to say. It was about the police. The police cannot stop crime. The police enforce the laws and investigate crimes. Crimes are a source of trauma. There is no crime that doesn't have a traumatic effect. Right? As a society, we are traumatized because the capacity of the police to resolve crimes is almost non-existent. But they cannot prevent it. So we cannot blame them. We cannot blame them for crimes happening. We can only blame them for not being able to resolve the crimes when they do happen. In the same vein, in addressing Ms. Smith's question, in as much as we need more persons on the ground to resolve the criminal aspects and criminal incidences that take place, we need more therapists. We don't have a culture that seeks out the psychiatrist or the psychologist for help.
Because one of the things we've seen that when people go to the psychiatrist, a lot of people just look at them and say, crazy. And so
I've never been to one, but you're all same.
All right, but the thing is, we have seen a lot of people who are being traumatized, and because of the taboo of the society, they will not get treatment. They will not go, and especially people who are going through their own depressions and stuff like that, going to a therapist, going to a psychologist is the hardest thing in the world because of what is being perceived.
Let me tell you something, okay? There are many children in Belize and Belmopan that have lost parents at an early age. Okay? And for the most part, if you have not lost a parent or a child, you will never know how it feels. For the majority of my life, I didn't know that pain. July 5th, 2014, that pain came home to me. And as an adult, I was traumatized when my father was taken away. So, it's not only the young that experienced that trauma. It took me the better part of 3 years, man, to at least be able to regain myself. The better part of 3 years. So imagine a young person, a person of tender age, having that experience, and so many of our children are going through that right now. What we need to appreciate, these children don't get help living with that kind of hurt, is going to manifest itself in certain behaviors. So as a society, we need to be a bit more compassionate for our own that are going through these things. I thought that I was strong. I realized I am not strong. I realized July 5th, 2014, I was a weak person.
Wow. Heart-touching, Arthur. And yes, I will agree. Until you really walk in the shoe, you really don't know. It's like in To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
You don't know what's happening to a man until you
Boo
walk
Radley.
in his shoes.
Boo Radley, huh?
Yeah. With that said, though, Arthur, how do you, or what are some of the things you see, especially, and again, we're looking at the young people. We have seen the changes that have happened in Belmopan, where crime is right at the doorstep. So many taxi drivers, for example, in Belmopan, over the past 5 years,
Mr. Tate,
have been killed.
Elvis.
No results. No
Rata.
results.
Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Aguirre,
All right.
you know? Yeah.
And then we from the very first
we were promised
forensic
a forensic lab and a
15
DNA
years,
facility.
15 years ago.
We have gotten none. $740 million worth of Venezuela money and no lab and no DNA facility. I was privy to a disclosure today in a case that I'm doing. Where DNA was sought. And you know what they say? What they said on what is written on the document? On the document for which the specimen for DNA was sent, they said improper packaging. I'm laughing, but this is serious. Improper packaging. So you already know some bonehead screwed up the evidence. Yeah, I'm representing the person accused, yes. But it gives me no joy. It gives me no joy to see this nonsense take place. Because in the courts we are seeking justice. But how can justice be given a chance to even be found if those who are charged with the responsibility to put together the evidence are bungling up the job? Improper packaging. So you don't know, and I don't know that the prosecution didn't want to do the case today. Everybody was ready, except the prosecution. Why? Improper packaging. It's not their fault. But they have to be bringing a basket to carry water.
And that is sad. So the other day we also heard that you are trying to help the people of La Rivera to get their light, especially the young people.
Yes.
La Rivera is a part of Belmopan, and as you enter Belmopan, that's the first community that everybody coming in on your left, sorry,
On your
yes,
right.
on your right, coming in on your right. However, it's a community that I think is one of the most undeveloped part of Belmopan.
The most undeveloped.
That area, as much as they put streets in every single part, or they said every single part of Belmopan, La Rivera has no paved street.
No.
La Rivera has very poor street lighting. The infrastructure, water and electricity to homes are in dire needs. These people are Belizeans. So why do you think that La Rivera has been treated so unjust?
Well, for the past 13 years, John Saldiva has been our rep. And the people of La Rivera have been seen to be in the majority support of the People's United Party and its candidates. Sadly, we have not had commitment from the party to assist in this area, but I am there. I am there and will continue to be there until the proper authorities come in to do what they need to do. So we are in the process now of accumulating the wires needed to make connections to homes. We already have the generator that was acquired for the purpose, and we are pushing through to realize that commitment to those persons, those 35 families in La Rivera that don't have light at this time.
And not only like they don't have water either.
Well, what has happened is that access to water has been granted,
Okay.
thankfully. What is not there, however, is that you still have to get the tubes and pipes from the street side to the homes, which is a little bit of further away. But it's just a matter of organizing the community to get the trenching done, and they can hook up to the BWS line. So that's there. What's not there is the poles and stuff for the electricity, so we're going to give them that.
Okay. After we're down to the last 10 minutes of this online meeting, what what would you like to leave with the Belmopan voters tonight?
Well, I want the Belmopan voter, people of Belmopan, to join me in this quest starting the 1st of July. All hands on deck. Help me and my team to ensure that we have a voters list that is reflective of persons that live and vote in Belmopan. Let's ensure that John Saldiva and those who facilitate his corrupt enterprise are not allowed to bring foreign voters from outside of Belmopan into Belmopan to vote. I also want to urge you to keep an open mind. Keep an open mind, because that is what we are known for in Belmopan. We have been and will always be the most enlightened electorate in Belize. I have faith in our people of Belmopan, in our Belmopanese, that you will see through the hypocrisy, you will see through the double standard that's being played, to understand that I am in solidarity with you and our cause to bring back the spirit of community, upliftment, progress and development that we have had when we came first to settle in Belmopan. As much as they try to deny me, I rely on your strength. As much as they try to put me down, I rely on your compassion. As much as they try to cast me aside, I rest assured that you have been my rock. People of Belmopan, I have been your ambassador, representing you wherever I have gone, and I've sought to do it proudly. Now I am home. It's good to be home. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest. I look forward to seeing you as I go house to house.